Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, समवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयामुदीरहे।
ततो जयामुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके
भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
So welcome you all. So thank you for attending today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. So, Prabhu, can you also bring 5th canto Bhagavatam, Prabhu? So, why it is not coming? No, it's coming. So we are reading from 5th canto, chapter number 14, text number 18. So all of you are able to see, right? Yeah. So this is a little longer shloka. We just read one by one only. Kvachit grihashrama karma chodanati varagirim arurukshamano lokavyasana कर्षिता मनाहा कंटका सर्करा क्षेत्रं प्रविशन् इव सीदति Whatever translation Prabhupada based divine grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kvachit, sometimes, Griha Ashrama, in householder life, Karma Chodana, of the rules of fruitive activity, Ati Bharagirim, the big hill, Aru Rukshamanaha, desiring to ascend, Loka, material, Vyasana, two pursuits, Karshitamanaha, whose mind is attracted, Kantaka Sharkara Kshetram, a field covered with thorns and sharp pebbles, Provision, entering, Iva, like, Sidati, he laments. Translation: in household life, one is ordered to execute many yajnas and fruitive activities, especially the Vivaha yajna, the marriage ceremony for sons and daughters, and the sacred thread ceremony. These are all the duties of a grihastha, and they are very extensive and troublesome to execute. They are compared to a big hill over which one must cross when one is attached to material activities. A person desiring to cross over these ritualistic ceremonies certainly feels pains like the piercing of thorns and pebbles endured by one attempting to climb a hill. Thus the conditioned soul suffers unlimitedly. Purport: there are many social functions for keeping a prestigious position in society. In different countries and society, there are various festivals and rituals. In India, the father is supposed to get his children married. When he does so, his responsibility to the family is complete. Arranging marriages is very difficult, especially in these days. At the present moment, no one can perform the proper ritual of sacrifice. Nor can anyone afford to pay for the marriage ceremony of sons and daughters. Therefore, householders are very much distressed when they are confronted by these social duties. It is as though they were pierced by thorns and hurt by pebbles. Material attachment is so strong that despite the suffering, one cannot give it up. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommends Bhagavatam 7.5.5 Hitvatmapatam grihamandakupam vanam gato yed harimashrayeta. The so-called comfortable family position is compared to a dark well in a field. If one falls in a dark well covered by grass, his life is lost despite his cry for rescue. Highly advanced spiritualists therefore recommend that one should not enter the grihastha ashram. It is better to prepare oneself in the brahmacharya ashram. So it's applicable for all of us. This is a grihastha ashram program. It is better to prepare oneself in the brahmacharya ashrama for austerities and remain a pure brahmachari throughout one's life, so that one will not feel the piercing thorns of material life in the grihastha ashram. In the grihastha ashram, one has to accept invitations from friends and relatives and perform ritualistic ceremonies. By so doing, one becomes captivated by such things, although he may not have sufficient resources to continue them. To maintain the grihastha lifestyle, one has to work very hard to acquire money. Thus one is implicated in material life and he suffers the thorn pricks. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Novishtam Stapna Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadanti Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Panchatarദേശതാരിണി Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So with the blessings of all the assembled devotees, so I'd like to render this service to please Guru and Gauranga. So thank you so much. So we were singing this Jaya Radha Madhava bhajan. This bhajan says Krishna is supremely enjoyed. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar. He's only interested in roaming on the banks of Yamuna. He doesn't do anything. He only roams with his girlfriends and boyfriends, Gopas and Gopis. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha. Gopi Jana Vallabha. Girivaradhari. He's always interested to be with his devotees. He doesn't see Krishna alone anytime. Even though he said that Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrandhi api Rukrame Kurvanti Ahetukam Bhaktim Ittam Bhuto Gunohari. Even though Krishna is Atma Rama, self-satisfied, but he doesn't stay alone. He is interested in always be with someone. If you see his 24-hour schedule, either with cows, either with Gopas or Gopis or his parents, even in the night, they call Ashtaprahar Leela, 24-hour pastimes, either with Srimati Radharani. Always. His only business is to enjoy. His only business is to enjoy. Gopi Jana Vallabha, Yashoda Nandana, Braja Jana Ranjana. And not only enjoys, what he does? He gives enjoyment to all the people with who associates with Krishna. His interest is only in giving pleasure. He enjoys and gives pleasure. In the material world, Yena Kena Prakarena, I should get enjoyment. Yave Jivet, Krutam Jivet. We have discussed some other class, right? Yavan Jivet, Krutam Pibet. Whatever you do, eat, be enjoy, eat merry and enjoy. You know? But Krishna is not like that. Krishna nature is completely he enjoys and gives enjoyment. And then Brajajana Ranjana. Then Yamuna Tira Vanachari. He always roams on the banks of Yamuna. Such a nice thing, without any responsibility, going and roaming around all over, especially when someone comes to young age, teenage, he wants to do that without any response. And our Krishna is like that. Of course, no, it appears like that. But you see this chapter, on one hand Krishna is enjoying, on other hand this chapter is forest of material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy, but he doesn't want us to enjoy. This seems to be very, very Krishna is crooked. You know? Krishna is crooked. He's saying forest of material enjoyment. He's saying forest. Ek bar fas gaya means fas gaya. Once we enter the dense forest, because most of us doesn't have the experience of entering into the dense forest and moving in a dense forest. Krishna also warns in Bhagavad Gita, Yaimam Pushpitam Vacham Pravadantya Vipaschita. Once you enter the dense forest, you don't know how to come out. Even Vedas are also like that. Even the words which came out of the mouth of Krishna are also like that. Once you enter that, without understanding the purpose of the Vedas, entering dense forest means gone. No light, nothing, no exit. It's like one's only inside, no outside. But Krishna is telling this forest of material enjoyment, very, very dangerous. So this seems Krishna is crooked. But the point is, Krishna is telling, what Krishna is telling, in this material world there is no enjoyment. That's what he again and again brings up the topic. Whenever we have a meetings with other devotees, everyone will say, those who are at least practicing from some time, they say, Prabhuji, full of problems, full of troubles. Life is very tough. So tough, so struggle. Yes, that's what Krishna is telling. Come to me, I will give you enjoyment. Why are you struggling in this material world? So Krishna wants us to remain. See, how much ever attempts we may try to solve the problems here. Here happiness means what? Having strategies to come out of the distresses of their life. Our strategies doesn't work. That doesn't mean we will not put strategies. But the thing is, ultimately we need to understand this aspect in our life. That's why Krishna again and again telling, this material life, you are trying for enjoyment. Don't run after this enjoyment. Ultimately, a deer running after in the desert, running after a water in the mirage, ultimately gives it's a futile effort. So that's what Krishna wants to tell. But the thing is, all of us know this. It's not that none of us, at least those of us are practicing from some time, we know material world is bad, we should not enjoy here. But the thing is, we are so conditioned, we tend to forget. When the life situation comes, we tend to forget. So Bhagavatam is actually meant to remind. Actually, just now we were discussing, all of us are kaidis. So a kaidi sitting on Vyasas and speaking to other cases doesn't actually make any sense, because I am also bound. But the thing is, some devotees, they have the realization of the subject matter, or at least we are all practicing. That is the only difference. But otherwise, a kaidi telling other kaidi, you come out, it's very, very difficult. Only a liberated person can take the kaidis from the kaidi to outside the jail. Otherwise, it is very tough. Otherwise, it's very tough. So, that's why we discuss Srila Prabhupada purports. Srila Prabhupada, who is a liberated person, who is a liberated, just by hearing his words, we can remind ourselves that this forest of material enjoyment is a worst thing. We should remind again and again not to enjoy in this material world. That's what this Jayarada Madhav Bhajan and this chapter is a fully contrast picture. But what happens, how we can go from this phase to that phase? That is the challenge. Even though we may know it, but the thing is, reminding and applying, application is difficult. Process is simple. We have to keep our focus, mind fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Always discuss the glories of Nama Rupa Guna Leela of the Lordships. Simple process. Application is difficult because of our own conditioning. That is a challenge. That's why we need the association of devotees to overcome the challenge. It's not that. That's why Krishna consciousness we can never perform alone. If we are thinking that way, we are in illusion. It's very tough to apply this subject matter when we are in need. But the thing is, yasya vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktir utpadayate pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha. So we are all suffering from shoka, moha and bhaya. Everyone is fearful. So just now, yesterday we attended a Bhakti Vriksha. Just a neighbor of that one, the wife of that neighbor committed a suicide. Fear, insecurity. We are in a position of not bearing our own selves, our own minds. Such a pathetic situation. 30 years old girl. What she has seen in her life. But Shoka, Moha and Bhaya, these are the ones which always haunt us like a ghost. Shoka, lamentation, hi, what I have done, I should have done like that. I should have done like this. I am a failure in my life. Actually, no one is a failure in life. If we understand Bhagavad Gita, ultimately everyone's life can be victorious. Parabhavas tavad abodha jatam yavanna jijnasata atma tattvam. Until and unless in the human form of life we inquire about the absolute truth, Atma Tattvam, our life is defeated. But for no other reason life is not defeated. No other reason. So really entire modern civilization is in a pathetic situation. So but what is Shoka, Moha, illusion? Our experiences are illusion. I see something, but I experience something. I see people around us, I see them as bodies. I see them as objects meant for my enjoyment. I see mobile also as an object meant for my enjoyment. Moha, illusory experience. Bhaya, fear. Oh, what will happen if I am not allowed to stay in my job? Fear, especially for Bangaloreans. What if my company lays me off? So that's why Bhagavatam says this is a doggish mentality. What is? Swavit varahostra kare samstuta purusha pashu. There are 4 kinds of animals described in Bhagavatam. One of the animal is dog. Dog thinks that if I am not having a master, my life is failure. So similarly, all the so-called educated and intelligent people, they feel that if they don't keep me in my job, what will happen? My life is waste. My life is a waste. Defeat. So shoka moha bhaya bhaya. But how to come out of these things? Not by hearing motivational gurus, not by following here this and that, but simple. It's difficult to apply. Yasya vai shruya manayam. Krishna paramapurush. We just have to give our ear to hear this subject matter. Ear to hear. That's what we need to do. Krishna param. Then we'll understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Yasya vai shruya manayam Krishna paramapurush. Bhakti utpadete pumsam. Then our inherent devotion, which is as part of the soul, which gets awakened by this process. And then what will happen? Shoka, moha and bhaya, they will run away. But one may say, Prabhu, I am practicing from some time. They are still with me. That's why we are not, means we can say confidently to ourselves, not to judge anyone else, I am not a devotee. That's why great acharyas, they never feel that I have become a devotee. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying, this is like one of my famous, means I always try to remember this bhajan. Gopinath mama nivedana suno vishaya durjana sada kamarata kichu nahi mora guna. Gopinath amara barasa tumi tomara charane lohino sharana tomara kinkora ami. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a great acharya. He's saying, what is saying? Gopinath mamani vedan suno. Please hear my petition. Gopinath mamani vedan suno. Vishaya durjana. I am always after sense enjoyment. Vishaya durjana sada kamarata, always filled with lusty desires. Kichunahi mora guna. I don't have any good qualities. This is how a devotee, actually if one practices, he feels like that. The more one progresses in Krishna consciousness, the more one understands his problematic situation, how he is entrapped in the forest of material enjoyment. So this is internal to the heart. It's not that we have to express. Of course we can express to devotees. Even express or not express, Bhagavatam is a like open book. It is, everyone's heart is like that only. Only one who is a pure devotee is free from this. But even the pure devotee is telling like that. No more, no good qualities. Amara Bharasa, you are only my hope. You are my only hope. Tomara Charane, your lotus feet is only my shelter. So, that is the reason. So now if we bring up this concept and with this shloka, why Shoka, Moha and Bhaya are not going out of our lives? Because, now we understood why? Because we are not devotees. That's why in scriptures there is a word used. It's called sadhana bhakti. You know what is sadhana? Sadhana means we are practicing regulative principles of devotional service. We are practicing. We have not yet become devotee. That's what Shastra is telling. So we should not be unnecessarily thinking, oh, this is not working for me. No, it will work. We should have that hope against hope, that it will work. Because why? Bhagavatam has so many pastimes or stories of devotees like Ajamil. If he can get liberated, we can also get liberated. So that's how Bhagavatam is telling our own situation, but at the same time telling about inspiring stories. Yes, even though you may be in this condition, we can also get out of such kind of condition. So Bhagavatam is telling our own situation and at the same time inspiring us also. So we should not be disturbed. It is not working in our life. It will work, but to the extent we are following, to that extent also we come out of Shoka, Moha and Bhaya. We can see in our own lives. At least those who are practicing from something, they can understand this is actually working. But at the same time we need to understand that 100% we are not out. 100% we are not out. So we have to constantly endeavor to Just lend our ear to hear. That's what we need to do. However many problems may be there in our life, but this is the simple process. Then only we can come out of it. This faith we should have. See, what we do in our life, we hear so many things. Now, we also interact, we go to office. What people talk about nowadays, they talk about T20. India versus what? South Africa. I don't know who won. Yesterday someone is asking, I don't know. Someone is asking, you please pray that India should win. Praying to, asking for devotees so that India should win. So, yes, means, you see, whatever our absorption is there, we desire that only. So we hear about T20, we hear about politics, we hear about India's cabinet ministry, what they are doing, how they are doing. Yes, we may know little bit, but our absorption should never go in that direction. Absorption matters. Where our absorption is going. If our absorption is not in knowing about Krishna, we can never come out of this Shoka Moha Bhaya. Simple thing. We have to do. We should have Shraddha and mold our life in such a way we have to do. Otherwise we can never come out of forest of material enjoyment. Yes, philosophically this is the thing, but application wise what we need? We need the help of devotees who has gone through this path, who can take us through this path. That's why devotee association is very, very, very important. We can never traverse alone. So, but anyhow, you have given me opportunity. Simple thing. Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasa gira nikila swapya avasthasu jivan muktasa uchyate. We are all conditioned. So now Rupa Goswami is giving a formula how we can come out of this conditioning while living in this body. What we can do? Karmana manasa gira. By our actions, by our speech, by our thoughts, we should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Simple thing. So if we can practice in our life and if we can preach this in our life, our guarantee is that no one in this world will ever commit suicide. We can guarantee. Means Shastras are guaranteeing, we can be a witness. So we can guarantee that anyone who can do these three things, they can never commit suicide. They never feel stressful only in life. Rather, devotees are stressful for Krishna. So these three things, through speech we have to speak glories of the Lord. Through mind we should remember the Lord's pastimes, Nama. And through action we should do service. So don't go from temple without rendering any service. Why? That is beneficial for me only. Whether someone is asking us or not, someone is monitoring us or not, someone is assigning us service or not, it is for our own welfare we should do some service. Whether someone gives credit to us or not, whether someone appreciates us or not, but it is our own for our own welfare we have to render service. Who doesn't need one's own welfare? Everyone needs one's own welfare. We are dear to the soul is dear to us. We never wants to kill ourselves. But those who are doing, there must be a pathetic situation. Today morning, while coming, I take the bike outside of my that gate. We stay in individual house. So what happens means we follow this practice, inspiring from the inspiring stories from Bhagavatam and Chaitamrita. Whenever we move, means I move my bike, we see if there are any ants or anything. So first thing what we do means what I do is broom that exit and then take the bike out. And I'm sure most of the devotees also does, because very concerned about how, because we know from Chaitamrita how Mrugari, after becoming a devotee, he was not even harming one ant also. So, but why I told this incident? Why? Because when I lifted my broom, I saw a lizard, small lizard, and then immediately running away. Why? Even an animal has this consciousness. I want to live. I want to be safe. Nothing should happen to me. Nothing should happen to my body. But it may not analyze it, it may not exhibit it, express it, but the inherent nature of every living entity is that no one wants to die. No one wants to leave this body. But we are conditioned. We are conditioned. Condition means what? Condition means what? Anyone wants to answer? What is meant by conditioning? Huh? Habitual or accustomed? Any other answer? Bound by three modes means what? Acting according to nature means? Okay, any other answer? Repeatedly doing same thing. Soul covered by materialistic habits. Yes, Prabhuji.
We are more behind a certain environment, become that way. So that way we are conditioned.
So you see, conditioned by three modes of material nature means what? So this example, very wonderful example, means after coming to Krishna consciousness, I just recollected from our physics or biology studies. So this example I have quoted to other in other program also. So like every day you give food to the dog. Food to the dog. But at the same time giving food to the dog, ring the bell. Giving the food to the dog, at the same time ringing the bell. Anyone remembers this experiment from school days? So what happens? You do this for a week or 2 weeks. What will happen? The 13th or 14th, the next day, any day, what you do? Ring the bell, don't give the food. What will happen? Dog starts salivating. Why? Now it is understood, bell ring and then food has a correlation. That means ringing bell means I'll get the food. But it's not compulsory. That is called what? Conditioning. So now the soul by nature it is anti-material. It is a divine, it's a transcendental. But the soul coming in contact with the material nature, soul coming in contact with material nature and staying in contact with material nature for time immemorial, what will happen? Soul identifies itself with body. And when soul identifies itself with body, what happens? Everything what we see how it can give me pleasure. Just like dog is correlating the ring of the bell with the food. So now we have attached it. Our pleasure means what? Pleasure of the body. But it not necessarily. That's what our scriptures are saying. Pleasure of the body need not be the pleasure of the soul. Those who entrap themselves in the pleasures of the body alone, their life will be stressed out, frustrated, and go to any extreme. So this is conditioning. Conditioning means what? It's not necessarily true, but the thing is, by association, by constant association, we exhibit that quality. So conditioning means just like seeing everything from, like if I am wearing red glass, I am seeing everything as a reddish. The soul, because of its association with the material nature from time immemorial, it identified with this body, and then whatever in relation with the body, thinking how can I enjoy. That's why as soon as I see something, I see how can I enjoy, how can I enjoy. This is the only thing. This is called illusory experience. So how a devotee thinks, as soon as a devotee sees something, how can I use it for the service of the Lord? That is what preaching. Preaching means when we meet people, we see how this jiva can be connected and engaged in the service of the Lord. That is called yoga, union with the Lord. So a devotee's perception, as soon as he sees something or he is some object or some person, he sees how can I engage him in the service of the Lord. So if we have to come out of conditioning, only thing is we have to hear the scriptures, hear about the Lord's name, form, qualities, pastime. That's what we need to do. Otherwise we can never come out of conditioning, because the soul and the body, they are opposite qualities. One is anti-material, one is a material. How anti-material and material can go along? They can never go along. But this is a very interesting design of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yantra Rudhani Maya. This is a machine made up of my material energy. And Mamaivamsha Jiva Loke. The soul is made up of, it's a part and parcel of Krishna. One energy, other energy, they are staying together, but they don't mix with each other, but one influences the other. It's a very interesting design. I don't know we can ever create such kind of design in the material world. One of one nature staying in product of another nature, but still staying aloof, but getting influenced. But there is an option of decoupling itself from the matter. When I think of this design is mind-boggling design. Only Krishna can do that. So, and still, what happens? The body functioning is also different. Why? The soul doesn't operate the functionings of the body. That's why Krishna says Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasaha Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaha Miti Manyate. To understand this sloka is very tough, because I am not the doer. That's why the soul being antimatter, it doesn't has any way to operate on the material nature. It cannot do anything on the material nature. Only one thing it can do. What it can do? It can only desire, and the desire is sensed by Paramatma, who is also sitting in our heart. And the Paramatma, being a witness, he sanctions, okay, material nature, Maya Dekshena Prakriti, you execute. You see how this design works, but in a very, very subtle way. That's why anyone who understands this design can keep himself aloof. That's why we should not worry about our maintenance only. This is a philosophical point. The thing is application again. Only when we realize this point, yes, I have nothing to do this with this body, and I am not maintaining this body. But rather what happens? Because of our association with material nature, because of our conditioning, we think if I don't work very hard, what will happen? This body won't be maintained. No, but we have very, very rare examples of, my teacher used to say, Log ka ke marte. We don't have any examples of people dying out of hunger. Maybe very, very rare case. My life is also an example like that. We were in such a poverty-stricken condition also. But whatever required for basic necessities was provided by Krishna. So why? Because the maintaining the material nature is not under the purview of Atma, which is part of the spiritual nature. That's what I'm saying. Process is simple, but execution is difficult. Fear is there. If I don't work very hard, how can I sustain in this world? But Sukadeva Goswami is able to sustain. That's why Sukadeva Goswami example is there. Raghunath Das Goswami example is there. But we cannot imitate them. But we know, yes, one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can live like that without ever concerned about the body. They were not so much concerned about of course we have to be concerned, because as I said, we are not devotees, we are sadhana bhaktas. We are trying to practice. Even practicing properly is also very big term. We are trying to practice regulative principles of devotional service. But it's a wonderful thing. Just by this, what can happen? Even we can be indifferent from our body. And the entire material world is working to keep this body with me. But we can be indifferent to body. What else can be the best process to separate us from the body? So this is the chapter. This entire 5th canto of Bhagavatam is aimed at only these two things. What are the two main themes of 5th canto of Bhagavatam? Only two things. One is detachment from material enjoyment, and second thing is glorify Krishna. First, until Rahugana, and then what happens? Detachment from sense gratification. Nayam deho deha bhajan kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujane tapo divyam putrakayena sattam shuddhe desmat brahma saukyam tvanantam. Don't be like a stool eating dogs and hogs. They are also getting enjoyment. What you used to do? Tapo divyam putrakayena shuddhe desmat brahma saukyam tvanantam. perform devotional service by which we get unlimited happiness. So the theme of this one, this is the fifth canto theme. What is the fifth canto title? The creative impetus. The title of the fifth canto is creative impetus. So there are 10 concepts explained in Bhagavatam. One of the concept is Utaya. Utaya means creative impetus. Impetus means what? What is the impetus of the Lord to create this material world? All of us think, or everyone thinks in this material world is made for me to enjoy my own senses. But we have to see from the vision of the Lord, what is the impetus of the Lord to create this material world? What is the impetus of the Lord to create this material world? This shloka. Nayam deho deha bhajan. It is not for enjoying the senses. Not for enjoying the senses. Second thing, the rest of after this we again entering into the subject matter of upper planetary system, lower planetary system. But Sukadeva Goswami, even though he explains that, but he focuses on one point, how the residents of different planetary systems, they are glorifying the Lord. How Kim Purusha Loka, they are glorifying Lord Krishna. So entire fifth canto, if you want to summarize, only two things: detachment from sense gratification and attachment to the glories of the Lord. This is what. So again, that's why this entire chapter, Jadabharat goes on speaking. And in this shloka, what is he speaking? He's speaking about these people. Very interesting shloka again. Kvachit grihashrama karma. So, it seems that Sukadeva Goswami is very anti to grihasthashram. He's really anti. If we have to say some person who is anti of grihasthashram, it appears he's against grihasthashram. Of course, varnashram ashram is there, but it appears that way externally. Parikshit Maharaj is a grihastha only. So, grihastha, grihamedi. So, if you see first canto, if it ends with two questions. Parikshit Maharaj asked two questions to all the sages who assembled in that place, which is a place on the bank of the Ganges. He asked, what is the specific, what is the general duty of a person who, if he wants to perfect his life, and second thing, especially about the people who are about to die. And Sukadeva Goswami, in opening words, he starts with criticizing Grihamedi. Shrota Vyadini Rajendra Aranam Santi Sahasrasa Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Grihamedina. Who is Grihamedi? Grihamedi means one who is attached to his own enjoyment. He uses family members for own enjoyment. He uses his body for own enjoyment. He uses everything for one's own enjoyment. That's why he's scolding. Sukadeva Goswami started with scolding, chastising Grihamedis. You, Shrotavyadini Rajendra, Nunam Santi, sir, you have hundreds and thousands of topics to discuss except one topic. What is that? Apashyatam Atma Tattvam. About the Atma, about the Krishna. Only except this, you have so much time to discuss about all the topics. Now we ask, are you able to read? Prabhuji, I don't have time. Means outsider also they say, I don't have time. We also have no time. Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. Grihamedi is like that. He says always excuse. I don't have time. Sukadeva Goswami is telling, by the way. Then what else he says? He goes on chastising this Grihamedi. Not the grihasthashram. Of course, we need to understand. Grihasthashram is also a divine ashram where both husband and wife and family comes together to keep Krishna in the center, and this is a small thing. So he goes on saying, Nidraya hriyate nattam vyavayena chavavya. Then kutumba bharanenava. What does he do, Grihamedi? Throughout the day he works very, very hard. And in the night he either sleeps or engages in sexual activity. This is the only thing he does. That's so Sukadeva Goswami, you are wasting your human form of life. That we should not do. That's what Sukadeva Goswami is telling. So now in this thing, in this shloka, Jadabharat is talking about a certain class of people. Before this shloka, he talked about certain class of people who wants to come out of material distress. What are the ways of coming out of material distress? One, by working very hard, earn money and bring comforts, and then we feel that we can come out of the distress. Other way, he says that there are certain class of people who go to these bogus gurus, false babajis, and then say, they pay some money and they get attracted by the gold, small amount of the gold that Babaji gives. Such kind of people. Now, in this one, is talking about a people, those who want to enjoy on a mental platform. On a mental platform. How? Because by having a prestigious position in the society, prestigious name in the society. For that, what a person does? He does marriages in a very great pomp. Like nowadays you see this Ambani's son pre-wedding, and then so many wedding ceremonies is doing. But ultimately for one purpose only. Marriage life is, the purpose of marriage life is to lead a regulated life so that we can come out of the sexual life. That is the purpose. And Grihamedito is scolding. And what to speak of the modern civilization where someone engages in illicit sexual relations. So Sukadeva Goswami to fully condemned. So, but just to have a prestige in the society, one works very hard. What is compared here? It is like a climbing up a hill which is filled with thorns and pebbles. How tough it is to climb a hill filled with thorns and pebbles. That's what here it is mentioned. 14 shloka, right? So it is mentioned. What is mentioned? Kantaka Sarkara Kshetra. Kantaka Sarkara, a field covered with thorns and sharp pebbles. It's very tough to climb a hill which is filled with thorns and pebbles. So, if you have to lead a life thinking that if I celebrate great marriages, if I may perform my marriage of my daughter or my son with great pomp, inviting so many celebrities and this, that, he's telling it is like a climbing up a hill with thorns and pebbles. But why one wants to climb a hill with thorns and pebbles? Just to show that I am special, I am great. But what Jada Bharat is telling, don't waste time in this. Just don't waste time in this. That's what he is telling. So it's very tough. And I was just searching the statistics of expenses of a marriage in India nowadays. Can anyone expect what is the average marriage expense within India now? 30-45. Anything else? 50? 15 lakhs. Who said? 15 lakhs. How? You know the... Minimum 15 lakhs. Any other answer? So I did this research, of course, to understand what is the average expenses of a marriage within India. So of course that statistics shown that 15 to 25 lakhs. But I attended a marriage of my friend who married in Vrindavan. His expenditure of the marriage was more than 1 crore. 1 crore if I have, why I should work? And he's telling the climbing up a hill with thorns and pebbles. Such a tough thing. For what reason they are spending that much money? 1 crore is small. Ambani is spending how many crores? I don't know. 1,000. Pre-wedding. You see, why someone is doing like that? This is what Jada Bharat is condemning. Jada Bharat is condemning. You see, Bhagavatam has application in all life situations. So we just have to hear very carefully. So only one reason one can climb up such a kind of hill with thorns and pebbles is prestigious position. I should be respected in the society. I should be respected, honored in the society as a great man, great person who has done the marriage of daughter, son, such a glorious person. We have not seen such a marriage. Everyone should glorify. And then he'll say, I am such a great person. Only except this, there's no logic at all. This is illogical. That's why sense enjoyment appears to be illogical. For what reason we have to struggle so hard? But then why we do sense enjoyment? Because of our conditioning, association with material nature. So this is Kantaka. So that's why Jada Bharat is condemning this one. So very interesting shloka. But now the question comes in the dowry also. Why people, in India, at least a few years back, there was a situation that, prenatal sexual detection. the child sex detection used to happen in the womb itself. And then what happened, if someone comes to know the child is a baby girl, and then what they used to do? Immediately abort, or even if child takes birth, immediately kill or do something. That was the situation in India. For what reason? Because of this reason, dowry. And everyone thinks dowry means big burden. If I have a daughter, it's a very, very tough. That's what Jadabharat is telling. It's really climbing up a hill with thorns and pebbles. And it happened for so many cases. Even now it happens actually. Even now it happens. But of course, government has brought up that act. But you see, when someone is disconnected from God, from Krishna, what they won't do for one's own enjoyment. He thinks that now it's a burden, child is a burden. But what Bhagavatam says, Guru nasasya, Pita nasasya, Janani nasasya, Samupeta mrityum. If you cannot deliver your dependents, you should not become a mother and a father. On the other hand, we see these people just thinking that girl child is a burden and then killing the child by, instead of delivering them, one becomes the death of the children. So this is the extent the civilization has moved. And Jadabharat is really condemning. Don't waste your life thinking that, oh, I have to do marriage this way, that way, with such a pomp. And it even now also it happens. At least in the previous days, in one used to have a bigger house. In the front of the house only, they used to have a mandap and then used to perform marriage. I have attended so many marriages. Nowadays, marriage means only function hall, only some conference, some hall, which itself costs lakhs and lakhs of rupees. So marriage is a great burden. That's what he's telling. To maintain the grihastha lifestyle, one has to work very hard. And it's a burden. Therefore, recommend that one should not enter the grihastha ashram. It's like a dark well. So, a father feels the burden of the dowry, that's why killing the child. But even Jadabharat is condemning. But on the other hand, so now whether this dowry is a problem or dowry is a proper thing, that also we need to understand. Because here dowry is a burden. But whether dowry is a wrong practice, that's what we need to see. So, in Krishna's pastime, our references are always Krishna's pastimes and Lord's incarnation's pastimes. And Krishna married how many queens? 16,108 queens. 16,100. And Krishna married 16,100 queens by killing Bhaumasura and or is also called as Narakasura. But he married 8 queens in a very different way. 8 queens. Rukmini, Satyabhama, Mitravinda, Kalindi, Nagnajiti, Bhadra, Lakshmana, Jambavati. These are 8 principal queens of Krishna. And Krishna married all of them in a very, very different way. So, just wanted to discuss one or two things about this. So, Krishna married Nagnajiti. How Krishna married Nagnajiti? Nagnajiti also has another name called Satya. So, earlier the Kshatriya prince, so their marriage is not like nowadays. So they used to have a very challenging marriages. Nowadays marriage may be easy. Just put your profile in some website. What are the websites? Some websites are there. We have in Telugu, telugumatrimony.com. Maybe kannadamatrimony.com. So easy. But princes, they never used to marry like that. So they wanted a very powerful heroic husband. So this Nagnajiti's father, he thought, my daughter is very beautiful, very qualified. She should have a heroic husband who is with all wonderful qualities. And what is the challenge he kept? Now, 7 bulls. 7 bulls, he had very wonderful, powerful bulls. And then with the nice, sharp horns. Each bull is very tough, difficult to control, subdue. I served closely with cows. And I was also with bulls. Even though I was with bulls, I never approached the bull. Very difficult. And we see those gwalas who serve the bulls also, sometimes they get hurt. Because these bulls are generally very arrogant. They are always in a fighting mode because they have a lot of energy. If they are kept inside the Goshala, without engaging them any work, their energy piles up and they want to use that energy for fighting, and they fight among themselves, these bulls. So I had such experiences. So I was thinking definitely it is very tough to subdue even one bull, and this is what happened. So many princess heroes, they used to come because by getting attracted to the beauty of this Nagnajiti, they used to come and then fight. And then what used to happen? They used to lose their hands, legs, and they used to become invalid and get defeated and go back. And now this news spread to whom? Krishna. So now this also shows an opulence of the Lord. Opulence of the Lord. So now Krishna came, and then what did he do? Then he went and approached the Nagnajiti's father, say, I want to take your daughter's hand. Then Nagnajit father, he glorified, Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, but my vow is I can only give my daughter to him who can subdue these 7 bulls. Then Krishna understood, okay, now I have to enter the arena. And then he entered the arena, and then what happened? He subdued the bull as if it's a play toy. But one interesting thing is Krishna expanded simultaneously into 7 and subdued all the bulls simultaneously without any effort, just like a baby elephant plucking the small lotus flower. How much effort it takes? No effort. So through this pastime, Krishna also exhibiting, even though he's acting like a ordinary human being, but is not a ordinary human being. And of course, why he expanded? This is also a reason, because she already knew that Krishna has so many other wives. She already has so many other wives, but still Krishna wanted to show, don't worry, Nagnajiti, I am so powerful. I can expand simultaneously, I can also spend with you. Don't think that, oh, if someone marries, say, 2 wives or 3 wives, what he has to do? 3rd wife will get only the turn on the 3rd day. But Krishna, don't worry, Nagnajiti, I am there, I can expand simultaneously. And that's so he married also 16,100 queens. You know, we also know Chitraketu who married 10 million wives or something, 1 crore wives. But the other co-wives are always in distress. My husband is not giving me time. So finally, of course, the point of this pastime is that finally Nagnajiti married Krishna in a very, very chivalrous way. Krishna married. But what is the dowry? Even though Krishna won the challenge, what is the dowry this Nagnajit has given? If you see, how many? He gave first 10,000 cows and 3,000 well-dressed young maid servants. You see? And not only that, then he went on giving 9,000 elephants and then 100 times more chariots than elephants. And that means 9 lakh chariots he has given. That means each chariot will have horses also. And 100 times more horses than chariots. That means you see how many? 90 million horses. And not only that, 100 times more servants than that horses. That means you see, is it a dowry or it's a burden on the person? Like though, for example, a boy gets a dowry in the name saying, okay, you take my girl, you take my cows also, you take the maid servants also, everything. So it's not a dowry actually, it's a burden on the bridegroom. But Krishna, we see they all accepted. Cows also accepted, chariots, elephants, each elephant how much it eats? So much. But they were not worried. This is called the opulence of the Lord. Krishna exhibiting extraordinary features as a supreme personality of Godhead and still accepted. Not only that, maid servants, young maid servants also. And pleasing them, engaging them. Actually, it appears it's not a dowry, it's a burden on the bridegroom. Better not to have such kind of marriage. So, like that, even this another queen, what is her name? Her name is Lakshmana. So, Lakshmana's marriage is also very, very interesting marriage. So, actually, not Queen Kunti, Draupadi, once actually what happens, they all went to Kurukshetra during solar eclipse, and then Dwaraka-vasis, Vrajvasis, and this Hastinapura vasis, they all went to meet the Lord. And at that time Draupadi was asking this question, and she was asking all the queens this question. And as part of that, she also asked this Lakshmana one question. Okay, how did you get married, Lakshmana? How did you get married? And Lakshmana said that, you see, just like your Swayamvara, my Swayamvara also, happened. But only one difference is there. What is the difference? In your Swayamvara, the fish was in a clear view and its reflection is there. Arjuna had to see the reflection and shoot an arrow. But in my Swayamvara, it is more tricky, more challenging than your Swayamvara. Now you see, even a living entity can be a great devotee of the Lord, but is a living entity. That's what 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita says, that Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastaksharu Kshara Akshara. The Kshara Jiva, fallible living entity, can never become the infallible Lord, even though he may be a great devotee of the Lord. And Arjuna, in this Swayamvara, even that is also covered. That is also covered, and one has to pierce that fish through that covering and then kill the fish. And all the great warriors, they came. Jarasandha, Shishupala, Bhima, even Arjuna came. Most of these warriors, they were not unable to string the bow itself. Just like in Lord Ram's pastime, Ramayana also it happened. Most of the people who came, they could not even lift that bow. Forget about stringing. Even Ravana was failed. Here, most of them happened. Someone who tried to string, what happened? They were knocked out by the bow itself. Only one person could string and then lift it and then touch the fish, was Arjuna. Except him, no one could do, and he could not pierce the fish. And Krishna, what did he do? He saw the reflection in the water only once, and then he pierced the fish without saying much. So this is called Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, there is nothing impossible in the dictionary of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord can do anything. If such kind of challenges, he can solve it very easily. Our problems are what? Nothing. So we should have faith. Why Sukadeva Goswami is talking about all this? Hey, your Lord whom you are worshipping is Supreme Lord, is inconceivable Lord. He has inconceivable potencies. Don't go with him your petty, small problems. Krishna can do anything in life. A mad person can become a great scholar. We have in ISKCON moment, there is a crazy Peter. His name itself is Crazy Peter. And later he became Kushakrata Prabhu. You know, he has written so many, he has translated so many Sanskrit texts into English. You search Crazy Peter to Kushakrata Prabhu. There is nothing impossible in a life of a devotee. But we just have to become a devotee. That should not be given up. That should not be given up. And becoming devotee is simple. Lending the ear to hear the glories of the Nama Rupa Guna Leela of the Lord. But it's very, very difficult. But now the point what I am trying to say, now let us hear the dowry. So what is the dowry? He has given so many soldiers, riches, elephants, chariots, horses, rare and valuable. Again, it appears this dowry is not a dowry, it's a burden on the bridegroom. Same thing happened with Vasudev's marriage also. So you see, on one side, 10th canto, we see dowry is encouraged and Krishna accepted dowry. On the other hand, what Jadabharat is telling, people in the name of marriages, they celebrate in a very, very pompous way. And what will happen? It is like a climbing upon a hill with what? Thorns and pebbles. He is giving a contrary picture. So that means why someone will do? To be happy. Ena kena prakarena, I want to be happy. Mental platform, bodily platform, intellectual platform. But they are all platforms are all temporary happiness. That doesn't give permanent happiness. So prestige is also a worst thing, being prestige. But a devotee naturally becomes humble. Trunadapi sunichena tarorapi sanishna. It doesn't work for a prestige in the society. So of course we also have the tendency, because we are all conditioned. We have that natural anartha of showing myself a great person, great devotee. That naturally is there. We can never reject that attitude that is there from in our heart. Until we purify ourselves, we can never come out of that. That's why we should never figure out a faults or find out faults in others. Why? It is there in our heart. Actually, a person sees his own consciousness. A devotee who realizes his own anarthas, he sees, yes, anarthas are there in us. It is me and also. Why I should point faults? Only a devotee who wants to help the other devotee, who wants to means help him progress, only that devotee has a power or authority to that. Otherwise, we should always be careful. Why? That anartha is there in me. I also have that anartha of showing I am great. That anartha is there. So through this also we can learn. These anarthas are there. So that's why a devotee always introspects in himself. A devotee is a very good at introspecting his own heart rather than introspecting the world around him. He always introspects his own heart, but with others is always merciful. Is always in a mood, how can I serve, how can I help? So that's how it's a contrary picture. And Prabhupada is quoting this shloka, Hitvatma patam gruhamanda kupam vanam gato yad harimashreta. For all these problems, only one solution. What? Prahlad is telling to his father, Tat sadhu manne suravarya dehina. Oh, best of the demons. He's not addressing his father as a father. Oh, best of the demons. And Hiranyakashipu was so happy. I am called as the best of. You see, this is called prestige. Best. I want to be the best. Best of the demons. And he was so happy. And what did you learn, Prahlad? Prahlad said, Hitvatma patam gruhamanda. You leave this material world is full of anxieties. Leave this. Go to Vana, Vrindavan, and dedicate your life for the service of the Lord. So, for all the problems, only one solution. That solution is performing Krishna consciousness, dedicating our lives to the service of the Lord, and rendering service, applying, always keeping ourselves busy in discussing the Nama Rupa Guna Leela of the Lordships. From where? From the scriptures, from Prabhupada books. If someone is deviating us also, we should say, Prabhu, what did you learn? How? So this is a simple process we have to follow. If we don't follow this, how much ever we may try, we can never be happy. Because the soul can never be happy until and unless it serves Krishna. There's no way and there is no other way. We may have troubles in our life, but this is the only solution and ultimate solution. And our project in our life is tolerating the struggles, tolerating these challenges, tolerating the difficulties, understanding the greatness of the devotional service, always glorifying the Lord and appreciating His pastimes. We have to face. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Tarorapi Sahishnuna. Devotional service is not an easy thing. Coming to Krishna consciousness is easy, but progressing towards the goal of our life, Prema Pumarto Mahan, is a very, very challenging project. And one can only complete the project one who can learn to tolerate. And it's a challenge for all of us to tolerate the disturbances, challenges, difficulties in our own life, still maintaining Krishna consciousness, still being enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness, still serving devotees, still planning to progress, still giving our life to Krishna is a great challenge ahead of us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. So, any questions or comments? That's why street dogs are in much better position than these dogs. So that means those who are not situated in IT are much betterly situated than IT people. This is what we can conclude. Clear, Prabhu? Is it what you wanted? Sorry, I am also IT person. That means my situation. That's why you see, Prabhu, even in our lane, street dogs are in a very happy situation. Really, if you come to ACS level, there are in every lane there are street dogs. They wherever they want they sleep, whenever they want they mate, wherever they want they eat. They are so happily situated. But a dog with a master, it was asked to eat only that. Nowadays the food, the dog foods also came, pedigree. And that bones, what is that bones? Calcium bones, and they are so costly. And they were and the dog is only supposed to eat that. Otherwise, it has to put that Huh? Mouth cap. You see who is better situated? Huh? Street dogs can eat prasadam also by the grace of our devotees. Yes, when our devotees and the prasadam remains, they go out and distribute, and so many people they leave the prasadam without eating completely. And at the night, if you see in the morning, the dustbin is rolled out, and what happened? Either dogs or rats or some other living entities, they are eating remnants of devotees or other persons also. You see, they are so wonderfully Prabhuji told. Yes, they are so fortunate to eat prasadam, but a dog bound in a house, so unfortunate. Huh? Achha, they are getting diabetes. So, you see, one who forgets God is after dog. This is what we can see in Bangalore. Every day we can see in our Bangalore. In the morning, situation is pathetic. Early in the morning, 4:30, someone comes out with the dog and then roaming around with the dog. I don't know what kind of happiness one gets in around 4:30, roaming with a dog. I feel really pathetic. This person should be preached so strongly, should come to our Mangala. This is what? Loneliness. People are having stressful life, lonely life, frustrated life, confusing life, what not. So many adjectives we go on adding. So many adjectives. That's why it's a great responsibility on us. We have to progress. We cannot remain at one platform. Why? If we are remain at one platform, we lose enthusiasm to preach. We have to progress and at the same time give the message. If we are not doing these two simultaneously, we will be watered out or fried out. So a devotee, he cultivates himself. A devotee also cultivates others. Both have to go. Anything is not going, there's a problem. If someone is only cultivating himself, he will be puffed up. Or anyone is cultivating others, he will be weak. So this is a balance. So always a devotee have to balance all such things.
But choosing guidance or that is also difficult.
So that's why we need a devotee guide who can help us. We in our ACS layout we have a nice structure. Every devotee can be guided by other devotee. If you are not part of our Bhakti Vriksha structure, please come and inform us. We can keep you in the structure. Every devotee has one more devotee who can help us. There is no devotee who is left out. Everyone should be guided by some other devotee, and that's what we are also following in our ACS layout. Okay. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.